We're back with more Hearthstone Grandmasters, headed into our 5th match of the day. 6 matches on Sunday, though, so you got a little bit more in store, and that's admirable. I'm joined by Derek Brown. And Derek, we got a good old-fashioned mirror match coming up.
Oh yes, the Mage mirror, one of my actually personal favorite mirrors to see. I think it got a little bit of a reputation for just being who can stick the first giant and therefore snowball the game. But when you put in counterplay cards, like I'm talking about Snap Freeze, obviously Frost Novas as well, I think this matchup can get very interesting indeed. And talking specifically about anti-mage cards, I think the tech decisions from RDU is what puts him at a pretty reasonable advantage in this mirror, I would say.
Go ahead and elaborate.
Well, I would say Snap Freeze is a pretty good anti-mage card to get rid of the giant for a very small amount of mana. We've even seen Doomsayer the few times it's been played, even just to delay a turn of development from your opponent, or to respond to a Sorcerer's Apprentice on turn 2, being pretty powerful in this matchup.
Kind of look at that Blizzard in the secondary deck, too. Didn't I say that last week?
Yeah, you did. Well done, that's happened.
Sometimes I feel almost smart. Taking a look at Hunterace's deck, he has seemed to bring this a lot with a lot of weird changes, but holy moly, that secondary deck.
That's something else. He was teching for the OTK Paladin.
And honestly, I think against a player like RDU, if you anticipate, you know, the range that RDU can play, I think this is kind of smart.
Yeah.
Because RDU, I think, definitely known for playing decks like this, and Hunterace's other opponent was Psycho, who I think if you take into totality the ability to be unpredictable, Psycho kind of just has so far in Grandmaster shown every aspect of the elite Hearthstone player. It's the ability to do the same thing that was just good. It's the ability to change it up. It's the ability to be ahead of the curve in deck building. The ability to get aggressive in matchups where you don't anticipate getting aggressive. He's done it all, as far as I'm concerned. And so I think, you know, accounting for his opponents. I keep slipping up words. What am I doing? Maybe it's your luck. Accounting for Hunterace's opponents, I think bringing a deck that's specifically meant to tackle Holy Wrath Paladin is kind of wise.
I agree. I think also with specifically Mage, it has a lot more merit because when you have a deck that is so powerful and so well-rounded as Mage is, you are, I think, allowed to tech for the weirder matchups a little bit more often. Like Holy Wrath Paladin, because it's a miserable matchup, and you turn a miserable matchup into what I imagine Hunterace has concluded from his testing, a pretty good matchup. 2 Spellwood Jewels and an Ice Cream Peddler. That's going to help.
Or just beatable.
Fair
a matchup
enough.
being beatable, I think, is good. You know, the game plan, I think, is pretty clear for him at the end. It's to play Spellward Jeweler so many times in a row that your opponent is just deep into fatigue.
Yeah.
And then the turn that they're going to try to pop you with the Holy Wrath, you freeze your own minion and you gain 8 armor, and suddenly that Holy Wrath doesn't kill you anymore. Maybe they're too deep in fatigue by that point.
It's very possible.
It's really cool.
However, in the Mage versus Mage mirror match, you're looking for some slightly different cards, I would say. Hunterace with... Man, I love seeing the way this deck is being played evolve. Like, this is not a hand that I think anyone would have kept on Mage a couple of weeks ago. Because you would just look for Giants, you would look for Conjurer's Calling pretty much every time. But now the Frostbolt to answer an opposing Apprentice thrown down on 2. A Banana Buffoon just to play, even with the Sorcerer's Apprentice, to get that tempo on board.
I think it's smart to keep Frostbolt. We have seen Sorcerer's Apprentice on 2 be a pretty big nightmare in this matchup.
Yes.
And going second, I think it's more important than when you're going first. You cannot get the first 2 drop down.
Yeah.
When you're going second, unless you want a coin, which coin is very important in the matchup. And then secondarily, if RDU plays a Sorcerer's Apprentice, it's like you're like, oh, why would I play a 2-drop here?
Yeah.
Like if they have Banana Buffoon, I lose the game.
Now this is an interesting spot from Hunterace, because if he goes for Sorcerer's Apprentice on this turn and then passes, a Doomsayer, which likely comes down in response, could be met with Banana Buffoon, double buff, coin Frostbolt in order to kill off said Doomsayer. So even with the quote-unquote ideal answer from RDU, Hunterace still has the opportunity to just clear it off.
And that means for RDU, he's got to think.
God forbid.
The hand is not good right now for RDU. It's quite weak.
It's pretty weak, yeah.
And so, considering that, do you need the tempo from Doomsayer? Do you need to hang on to the first copy of Ray of Frost? Can you just spend 2 Ray of Frost?
Does he need to go for Doomsayer Frost Nova? That's another very powerful play.
Yeah. The thing about it is Doomsayer Frost Nova in the mirror is honestly very checkable.
Yeah, that's true. With
Conjurer's Calling.
Yeah, you just Conjurer's Calling the opponent's Doomsayer.
Yeah. They play it on 2, you can't Conjurer's Calling it, and they just get tempo on you.
Yeah.
The idea of Frost Nova Doomsayer is that you're probably trying to answer something.
That's fair.
You're like, yeah, here, have your 2 drops.
Maybe it is just Doomsayer then. Pray that it survives.
Hunterace does have to use a lot of stuff if he wants to counter the Doomsayer. Maybe RDU's just okay with that.
He wouldn't even have to use both bananas, though, right? It could just be Banana Buffoon, 1 banana, coin Frostbolt.
You get a coin, though.
Yes, yeah. You are losing the coin. It's not ideal from Hunterace, but otherwise you're doing what? You're just allowing the apprentice to survive.
Well, if that happens, look at his hand. He's not doing anything anyway, right? So if that happens, you double Ray of Frost Source Apprentice, you ping it off.
So you think this was wrong from RDU?
No, I think this is right from RDU because
even if it dies.
Because if Hunterace only uses a single banana, you get to kill the Sorcerer's Apprentice.
And this is obviously in the exact scenario where Hunterace has Banana Buffoon and Frostbolt.
Very unlikely.
Yes. He did keep 2 cards in the mulligan, which were exactly Banana Buffoon and Frostbolt. And I mean, there's other ways it could die with like a whole bunch of Ray of Frost as well.
You can also just do this. Frostbolt attack.
Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe the ping is better. Like, getting the Banana Buffoon down is tempting.
What is he thinking about?
Because he's planning out his next turn. The Sandbinder being picked up makes this a little bit more weird, right?
He's thinking about, I think, specifically the Banana Buffoon, and I think it's better to just go ahead and Hero Power.
Wow, interesting. I didn't really think about this. I was thinking that the way we've been seeing these players play these matchups is you just play out your minions as quick as possible. But I guess this line of play opens up Banana Buffoon, 4 spells, Coin Cyclone.
And I think that's, the big talk for Coin and Bananas in general. The Bananas are good because A, they get your hand size big, B, it has combat potential, and then C, Mana Cyclone fuel.
There must be a way.
The Sorcerer's Apprentice clearly is having a tough time being dealt with if you're in Hunterace's perspective. Why spend that much?
I like it. If there's 2 things I'm all about, it's coin and bananas.
If RDU wants to kill this, it means he's not playing a 3-mana card. 3-mana cards are Arcane Intellect and Banana Buffoon. Sounds like a great disruption turn to me.
Yeah, and even with the Apprentice coming down, Hunterace has... I mean, he could just throw down the Sandbinder. Even in the event that it dies, he's got many strong counterplay opportunities. I love this.
I will show you.
It's a very weird matchup. Very technical matchup. And also, if you think about the play from Hunterace, he also did align perfectly for turn 4 Sandbinder into Mountain Giant.
Yes. However, Hunterace needs to be a little bit careful now because RDU has the play of Khadgar Mirror Image, which costs 3 mana, reduces the giant by 5, which means it goes down to 4. So it's not playable on this turn in addition to that. But it's just something to keep an eye on. The Khadgar Mirror Image Sea Giant is pretty scary.
Yeah. What would happen here, too, is if RDU goes for that play, I imagine he wants to couple it with Frost Nova and Sea Giant.
Ideally, yes, but that's quite a ways away as it currently stands in terms of mana.
So the one way that Hunterace takes away that time is by getting going now.
In terms of the ways to actually kill off the Sea Giant, the Mountain Giant, were Hunterace to play it here. There's no big game hunters in the deck. It's pretty much just Snap Freeze that could instantly kill it off.
So for RDU, I think he has maximized the potential of this particular hand. Get the Sea Giant down, freeze, hope you land Conjurer's Callings. However, if you go for the Mirror Image line, a lot of your board is soaked up by Mirror Images.
Yeah.
So you're trading off. So, oh, whoa, okay, hang on.
So they cost 8 at the moment, 5 mana reduction off of Khadgar Conjurer's Calling, which means they are exactly playable.
One of them is playable, because they would go to 7 mana, 6 mana, and then 2 mana.
I should have clarified. One of them is playable.
So the question is, how much longer can he wait? Because honestly, if you see a Conjurer's Calling from Hunterace's side, I'm not uncertain that that's worse.
Than what, sorry?
Than if you don't go for Sea Giants now.
And he just hits you in the face.
Yeah, like I think the worst play for RDU is literally next turn Hunterace either pops off and has all the backup, or he does nothing. Like when he does nothing, honestly, it's pretty terrifying.
So either everything or nothing is terrifying.
Exactly. And so I think that you have to play this in a different way.
I agree. I think he has to do something pretty soon. Pray that this Sea Giant sticks and that he can go Conjurer's Calling, or Conjurer's Calling Frost Nova.
Which for the Sea Giant to not stick right now, it requires Hunterace to have a very particular set of things happen.
It does. With no Snap Freezes in his deck, he basically has to find something off of magic tricks to clear this off.
Ooh. Wow. But he has to have a way to freeze, too. Hang on.
You've got to take the Snap Freeze, though. If it's not good now, it's good later.
I think he's clearly on a Mana Cyclone turn here.
Oh!
Also Spellbender.
I mean, The Conjurer's Calling is insane here, right? But it's...
I mean, he's got Khadgar.
He's... Yes, okay. I was going to say, is it better than Ray of Frost because he could kill it off and then go for his own play next turn? It's still just absurd, especially as Hunterace could just leave up all these mirror images, and then the Sea Giant can only get 2 cards off of a Conjurer's Calling.
Yeah. And
I love this. I love this from Hunterace.
And I definitely think that's the line that Hunterace should be going for, is leaving the
100%.
board presence. And we've seen him do that a couple times already.
Yes.
And honestly, this seems like a position that RDU keeps falling into.
I think it was Tice who fell into it the last time we saw the double Conjurer's Calling. Maybe Tice, RDU has fallen into it as well. But it's a good point to bring up that in this matchup, you rarely want to go for Khadgar into Mirror Image. It's not a good play because of exactly this.
Did his hand afford anything else, though?
That's what I mean. I think RDU was forced into it in this instance. Generally, you want to avoid that at all costs.
Emrys. You get 2 Emryses, too.
Yeah, no chance of a Mulch Muncher after the first Emrys.
So now I'm looking at trade. I'm actually looking at trade off the Khadgar. And freeze? Trade off Khadgar, Sea Giant, freeze.
Yeah, I guess it frees up board space. Man, that doesn't feel
There
good.
must be a way.
The fact that he can't kill Khadgar, the opposing Khadgar.
Yeah, which one? The RDU cannot kill off Hunterace's Khadgar. He's wondering if it's worth freezing at all. I think it's close. I think it's closer than it looks.
Yes, I think so too. The first
Whoa.
freeze is the tough one, and my goodness. So for Hunterace, it's about when you freeze.
Right, I guess this turn, yeah, it's not even a necessity, right?
I mean, Conjurer's Calling gives you 3 more minions out of this.
I wonder.
So, what are the possible plays? Conjurer's Calling Frost Nova is tempting, right? You freeze the board, you potentially set up lethal, but these 2/2s in play are now kind of working against Hunterace.
So I guess it's just, what's the ideal game plan? It's connect your minions before RDU connects his.
If he goes for Frost Nova, he could obviously fit in a Snap Freeze as well.
You're not under threat of lethal pressure.
Yeah.
So I think you just Conjurer's Calling. Just fill up your board and say, deal with it.
I think you're right. You've already seen a Frost Nova from RDU.
Yeah. And hero power one of the Emrys, so that way it cannot value trade.
Yes.
Perhaps you don't do that because
do you
then
want
the
them?
board space.
Yeah, do you want them to stick around? Because then it's less chance of Mulch Munches.
Oh, God, it's so weird.
Super complicated, dude.
Yeah, Hunterace, I think, is on a eventually one of us has to run out of stuff plan.
Yeah, and at the moment, it's not looking like it's going to be Hunterace. Ooh.
But mind you,
It's still these mirror images. They're just messing up RDU so badly.
and Hunterace did not expend a freeze last turn.
He did not. Quite cleverly, I think.
Didn't need to.
Because I think the plan for Hunterace is to Frost Nova on the turn that he kills off mirror images.
Not now, Sea Giant.
Yeah, just more 8/8s.
If he'd hit Mulch Muncher there. That's the
Yeah, that would have been insane.
to me, that's the one weird thing in the mirror matchup is Sea Giant versus Mountain Giant and Conjurer's Calling.
Yeah.
Is I think the 10s actually are just better on average.
Yeah, I agree. They trade better. A car can be a little bit of a hindrance sometimes, but getting Deathwing on Mulch Muncher is just worth every penny.
And I think that's what RDU's thinking about is letting go of the Khadgar. Taking care of the opposing Khadgar.
Let's remember the
Wow!
Frost Nova at the final second.
Hunterace is so far ahead, and granted his draw has afforded him the luxury of taking his time here. RDU's draw, I think, was well below average and just had to get going.
Is he necessarily that far behind? Like, I'm just trying to look at, like, what is the objective board state, right? After Frost Nova Snap Freeze, if that's even the play, like, there's a lot of other options that we could see here. RDU can go off with the board space, or with the Giants, but he just doesn't have board space.
So what I'm looking at is Ziliax, trade a 0/2, and then Frost Nova. And then what that gives you is 3 minions in play that can contest the 3 mirror images left.
Okay.
And then you have lethal with the Banana Buffoon. But this play does a very similar effect because you don't clear off the mirror image now, which means that RDU can't develop board space, which means that you get to use the Ziliax next turn, crack through the 4 images, and then kill your opponent.
You can buff up the Grave Horror as well to play around much of value trade.
You can also just develop a Mana Cyclone.
Yeah.
I mean, RDU's out of freezes. He can't generate one without a magic trick. I think he just checked him.
Oh, even if he can, another Blizzard and a Ray of Frost.
Checkmate.
That's game.
Yeah, RDU's hand, I don't think he had the luxury of doing anything much different. And Hunterace had the goods.
Yeah, this is just like you could see RDU's hesitance when he made the play, but if he didn't, he was just going to take 8 a turn every turn and lose.
Yeah. Blizzard makes this a lot easier, but without Blizzard, Hunterace still had lethal here.
Well, without Blizzard, there wouldn't be Hearthstone to play.
Excellent capitalization for Hunterace. Takes a 1-0 lead in this mirror match. It's a very volatile mirror match.
It absolutely is, and that one was a little bit of a one-sided tour de force from Hunterace with his very nice starting hand. But I think he approached the first few turns very well. Like, holding onto the Banana Buffoon and the Frostbolt showed good understanding of how the matchup is played at the moment, which is that RDU would very much be looking to just stick an Apprentice on 2, curve out with his minions, just go for an early Conjurer's Calling on like a Sandbinder or something like that in order to get an early board of decent minions rather than an explosive board of super huge giants. And I mean, it really just cornered RDU into having to go for the CAD guy into mirror images play, which, as we can see, pretty much just locked him out of the game.
Yep. When you got the goods on the other side, you have to capitalize on those. When you have your good hands, you have to close them and not let them slip away. We've seen it happen a couple times, and sometimes that has been the turnaround of a series. Hunterace up a game over RDU. Quick break, and when we come back, we're jumping into game number 2 of this one, and 1 series left to go after this. Stick around.
My name is Fei Liang. My handle is EPC. Before Hearthstone, I was playing World of Warcraft, and when I saw Elite Tauren shift, and I think the card is pretty cool, I'm gonna try it. I think the style I like the most is combo deck, because there are a lot of win conditions and there are a lot of ways you can win the game. My son plays Hearthstone sometimes.
Is he good?
He got rank 9. He likes Zoo list.
Are you going to teach your daughter to play Hearthstone?
Yeah, of course.
Do you think that she'll be better than him?
Probably yes, because I think my daughter is way smarter than my boy. Getting #1 in Grandmaster is gonna totally change my life. I think it proved myself, and my kids are gonna be proud of me.
I'm Facundo Pruso, more known as Nargidan. My username is an Illidan reference. I used to play Warcraft 3 a lot. Illidan is my favorite character. Back in the days, I really liked watching RDU stream as well. After I saw him for the first time on some DreamHack tournament, and then I got to beat him on some online tournament finals. That was my first tournament win, my first prize win. That was a very key moment for me in Hearthstone. I think I'm pretty good at recognizing what decks are good and how to improve them. I like the Su playstyle. Some people think it's like broke back deck, but then you have a lot of things to master, and there is a lot of little things in that deck that, of course, you can draw 1, 2, 3, 4 and kill an opponent, but that's not gonna happen every game, and you need to know how to improve your odds. I don't know if other players already respect me or not. In my region, I think they do. I'm not sure about the other Grandmasters. This year, I really want to qualify for Global Finals. I why I didn't make it last year. So that's the main goal. I hear a lot of players say first season wasn't that important, but I think it really is. If you win the first season, you made it to Global Finals.
We're amidst RDU taking on Hunterace. Both sit at a 2-3 match score, but right now Hunterace has a game lead over RDU, and a little bit of a trick up RDU's sleeve here for game number 2, while Hunterace is sticking on the primary deck. We're using Specialist here, so you have 3 decks of the same class with some changes, up to 5 cards different in your other 2 decks. RDU has opted to go with a Snap Freeze, an additional copy of it, a second Banana Buffoon, his second Sandbinder, and a copy of Blizzard for an additional freeze.
Yeah, this whole thing, including cards he puts in and takes out, are so interesting. Losing the Mirror Image and a Sea Giant, I mean, we saw what that did for him last game, I guess. It just filled up all his board space. He thinks it's mainly for the anti-aggressive decks, and I can totally understand his thinking. The Blizzard is the interesting one, though. It's slow, and it basically means until you're at the super late game, you can't develop a minion at the same time. But 1 extra freeze in the Mage Mirror can make all the difference in the world.
Hunterace on coin again.
RDU with the old Cyclone into Cyclone.
See, I told you could redraw cards you mulligan away. No, I definitely only had 1 copy in my deck.
Yeah. And was that a full keep from Hunterace?
Well, would you not?
Well, I would. It's just RDU has to be sitting there going,
yeah.
I'm scared.
When you see a full keep, you just go, dang it.
Quaking in his little boots. I don't actually know how.
Fun fact, RDU's shoe size is 19 American. That's right, almost the same size as Shaquille O'Neal, or Shaq, as you may know him.
You mean Shaq's shoes, or as big as Shaq? His shoes 7 feet long.
I think those are mutually exclusive. Nice pickup! A game! He's not gonna get blown out! I was very afraid he was gonna get blown out!
I mean, it's still...
No,
not looking amazing, but
not
we
looking
absolutely
amazing.
have a game. We
Yes.
yes, this is close now.
Because
if RDU picks up a Conjurer's Calling, he's in a good spot.
I was very afraid he was just gonna die.
He may still just die, but, you know,
He has possibilities.
he has lots of possibilities.
Honestly, if Arcane Intellect shows up on turn 4 instead of turn 3, it is a major overhaul of the difference of game that we have.
Hunterace has the option to go for 3 or up to actually 5 spells I think he could go for off the Mana Cyclone. He would then go down to 3 cards up to 8. So he does need to start worrying about Arcane Intellect, but I think with going up to 8 cards in hand, it's still perfectly fine in terms of overdrawing. I like this.
It's also just pressure.
Right, exactly. He gets more minions in play, and with RDU taking out a Sea Giant, the more minions that Hunterace develops, pretty much just the better for him. Whoa. How'd you like 2 Snap Freezes? RDU put 2 in his deck, Hunterace just found them. But the pickup of another Elemental Evocation for RDU means that we're looking at 2 mana reduction on Mountain Giants in the coming turns.
He's just going to take so much damage.
Yes.
I don't know what to do. Stargazer Luna, hope that you draw the goods.
Mirror Image? Yeah.
The thing about it is, like,
Does he Frost Nova here? That feels
if he waits a
bad.
turn, he has a different card on the right end.
Yeah.
So he's got to find the stuff, which means he's just got to go. You see why he mulliganed away Mana Cyclone. It's so different when you're going first and going second. So I think you play the Mana Cyclone here. You consider playing the Evocation for additional spells.
You've got to save it, right? Like, Evocation is better than a random Mage spell here.
I agree with you in this spot. However, I'm not sitting in RDU's seat, and I don't know if I feel super desperate or not.
Yeah, I mean, he was hoping to get a 1 mana spell there to redraw off the Luna.
My goodness, Hunterace is gonna beat RDU up.
He can even go with the counter spell. And the Spellbender, I didn't even think about how good the Spellbender is. Like, there's nothing in RDU's hand that can target it. If he gets a Conjurer's Calling and it hits a Spellbender,
What to do?
that could just end the game.
Oh yeah, I mean, you go for a defensive play and then suddenly, oh, my opponent got 2 extra 1-cost minions.
Yep.
So I think for Hunterace, the secrets aren't paramount right now because RDU's just going to have trouble getting anything going.
Yeah, like he doesn't have the mana to go giant Conjurer's Calling this turn.
So you obviously want to use Scorch. That is just super ideal this turn. Scorch obviously best used when you're head on board. Your opponent's trying to respond by building tension. You get to wipe it out and keep pushing.
Oh yes, all this damage goes face. Well, sorry, he might trade, but
yeah.
At least 7 is going face, which is very, very scary.
Hold on to the Cyclone over the Banana Buffoon. I think that's just strictly a mistake.
It's an elemental. Is there anything in Mage that affects that? I don't think so. Yeah, I think that is.
The only thing this really does is in a weird, desperate situation gives RDU a fringe out of Conjurer's Calling.
Right, it allows RDU to go for Doomsayer possibilities. I agree. That was
also just your own Conjurer's Calling.
Right, so in both aspects of giving RDU an out. I mean, well, I suppose the Sorcerer's Apprentice is in place. The Doomsayer thing, that doesn't really matter.
It's just not even...
It's small. It's small.
It's just not even at all in a thought in his head because he's focused on so many other things right now.
Oh. Hunterace's turns are getting so powerful. Does he go Khadgar Conjurer's Calling on the Cyclone for 4 2-drops rather than 4 3-drops?
So what I'm looking at is you don't want
freeze on the same turn.
You don't want your opponent to Conjurer's Calling.
Yeah, you have to kill that off. Yeah.
So how do you best check that?
Fine.
They made a change to the order of operations with Counterspell and Spellbender, where they used to proc in tandem no matter what.
Oh, really?
I believe so, or vice versa. Wow, it's been a long time since
I
this
didn't
change
actually
happened.
know that. I'm unaware of the interaction.
Once upon a time, if you had Counterspell and Spellbender,
what to do?
That time is either now or in the past. When you played the spell, both would happen if you targeted a minion.
Okay. It's looking like it's unlikely to come into fruition this turn.
I'm surprised. Either way, I think taking care of Conjurer's Calling is an important measure this turn.
Well, it's either going to be Spellbender or Conjurer's Calling on this turn. I definitely prefer the Spellbender over Counterspell. I think just because it's harder to proc, like RDU will play a bad spell first anyway,
and then
because
you
he
follow
has
up with
to
a counterspell.
Exactly, exactly.
And RDU is dying quick.
It's the power of just playing your cards. He knows now, not Counterspell, not Mirror Image.
He wanted to check for Mirror Entity.
Mirror Entity. Sorry, not Image.
To freeze the giant if it appeared.
That's correct.
So now he's checking for counters, or you already checked for Counterspell.
Yeah. So
he knows check for Spellbender. He sees it's Spellbender. Maybe that changes Magic Trick. All things considered, RDU did a pretty good job in this game. Ray of Frost. I think you have to have something go right this game.
But is that thing that goes right Snap Freeze? Like, what are the odds that Hunterace has nothing good to develop?
Fine. He plays a giant. That's all his mana.
Or if you go Splitting Image, can you ever set up the point where you summon an extra giant?
I think
it's so unlikely.
I think Ray of Frost accounts for giants about the same way Snap Freeze does. Your MO right now is freeze the board and start counterattacking. Are you going to take the Snap Freeze? It still freezes. It offers the flexibility.
It's just one less opportunity of freezing. You can only freeze one thing maximum as opposed to 2. I think it's still correct, but I see your point nonetheless. As there's no freeze to work in tandem with the Snap Freeze for Hunterace to kill off this giant. He's obviously afraid of Mirror Image and more precisely Khadgar Mirror Image. Oh, sorry, Conjurer's Calling. Sorry, not Mirror Image. Conjurer's Calling is what he's afraid of. He's not afraid of Mirror Image pretty much at all. I'm just wrong.
How quickly things got tough. Hunterace, I almost guarantee, is terrified of Conjurer's Calling right now.
He is, but this presents a difficult situation for RDU where like he can't value trade, right? So if he wants to, he'd have to value trade the Apprentice, then go for Conjurer's Calling, assuming he even had it, which we can see he doesn't anyway.
True story.
So is it Frostnova Snap Freeze value trade?
I don't think you need to hit the Sorcerer's Apprentice, right?
You just go face.
Yeah, our opponent just played a Mountain Giant, so take advantage of anything. I think the Sorcerer's Apprentice value is that it's a 5/4.
That's mostly true for the moment, I agree. And you just want to give your giant the highest chance of surviving because RDU's only out is Conjurer's Calling off the top.
I think so, yeah. magic trick, randomly generated. However it's going to be, Conjurer's
Whatever.
Calling the Giant is...
That's his win condition at the moment. Again, from Hunterace, showcasing the power of alternate lines of play, which are not often considered in Mage. Just curving Apprentice into Banana Buffoon is scarily powerful.
It's like a bootleg Houndmaster.
Sure. Let's go with that.
I'm actually curious if you can ever justify playing Khadgar here.
You have the mana to go Khadgar double Conjurer's Calling on the following turn.
I'm thinking exactly about the damage breakpoint of you deal 10 into freeze deal 10. So if like he draws exactly Blizzard.
Maybe. I guess.
I mean, we could see it getting punished.
What's this going to be? Ziliax.
I wonder.
Like Ziliax trade Conjurer's Calling is a little scary because you don't want to tank the damage to face. Banana Buffoon Khadgar Conjurer's Calling.
Freezes can kill you.
Yeah, you got to be careful of that. Maybe
So,
it just freezes it with Snap Freeze.
Again, big keys. Shut off Conjurer's Calling.
Yeah.
Make sure you're not dying to board. Deliver a counterpunch. How do you best do that?
What to do?
Apprentice Celiac Snap Freeze? Like, that puts the most amount of stuff on board. It pretty much demands a freeze.
I'm also looking at Apprentice, Banana Buffoon, Snap Freeze, Counterspell, Conjurer's Calling.
Oh, wow. Okay. It's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is
Time runs out
all
on
of his
me.
lines require him to use pretty important tools.
Yeah.
I wonder.
Well, I think at this point for Hunterace, like, it's quite clear that RDU is floundering.
Ziliax, no attacks.
Right. Makes it very difficult for the Giant to connect base. Conjurer's Calling off the top is no longer good enough. We could still have seen with the counterspell, if a Conjurer's Calling had come off the top, Cinderstorm, Khadgar, Conjurer's Calling, but no longer a possibility.
Bad news. I think you got to Snap Freeze for health here.
Yeah. Where he's sat, he's not dead, even without the Snap Freeze, but I agree. He can't just be dead to Banana Buffoon.
He'd just be dead to just natural attacks and hero powers. You just wouldn't be able to counterpunch.
Yeah, exactly. He can't heal back.
Oh! Huge draw from Hunterace. RDU cannot win the game.
That has to just be a lockout.
Well played. Well done.
Hunterace 2-0 over RDU. A wizard never arrives late, Darroch Brown. He always arrives precisely when he means to.
A devastating blow for RDU now, down to 2-4 in set record. And even after tweeting out earlier today, he felt pretty favored going into this. His list was better teched in the Mirror Mage matchup than it was than Hunterace's, whose list didn't have Snap Freezes, didn't even have a Blizzard teched in, which RDU had in his secondary deck. But all of that was for naught against the onslaught of just minion pressure that Hunterace threw down. It wasn't even Conjurer's Calling that won him that game. It was just Apprentice that he played on 2, which stuck for the entire game.
Yep, I want to point out real quick that you have to capitalize on your good draws, which is exactly what Hunterace did. And when you do that, and you played it well, it looks very decisive. I also had coin twice in a row, a big advantage. But capitalize on your advantages. Don't let games slip away. As we've seen happen several times here in Grandmasters. Hunterace is here for an interview. Can you hear us?
Hello, guys. I can hear you, yeah.
Congratulations on your win. This was a very important one for you. It moves you up to an even match score now at 3-3. Talk to me about this week for you in preparation. Talk to me about this matchup in particular. It was pretty cool. It was going on. And just about Grandmasters overall in general. I feel like 3-3 is probably less than what you expect, given that I know what standard you hold yourself to.
Yeah, 3-3 is definitely not like what I was trying to aim for when I came into Grandmasters. I was hoping for better or a better start, but the competition is super hard here, and all the players are very good, so it's super hard to get all the wins. And when both players play super well, and yeah, it's just the small details that matter. And I don't think that I've necessarily gotten every single detail right in my previous series. So to be able to perform, I have to really step up my game and be at the best of the best. And don't think I've really been at that previous weeks.
Sorry, I just want to ask, do you think you were there this week? In an evaluation of your own play, were there any things that you think you could have done better in this series?
In this series, I was pretty happy about this series. I've played a lot of Mage Mirror. It's a pretty complicated matchup. The first game, he ended up having to go for the Khadgar mirror image play, which always makes him very weak because the mirror is often based around board space and like getting a lot of different creatures on the board and just overdoing your opponent because you just freeze, and then you play more stuff, right? And if one of the guys can't actually develop anything more, you just end up with a superior board in the end. So when he did that play, I was pretty confident. In the last game, there was some close decisions. I'm not sure if there was like some higher percentage lines I could have taken in the end there. I just tried to maneuver as well as I could around his outs and like his good draws. Yeah. I could have potentially played the secret a turn before because the secret makes it so he probably doesn't play giant. But at the same time, I didn't really mind him playing giant because I had the snap freezes. Yeah. So playing giant from his side was like a very big tempo loss, but he didn't know that because I don't play snap freeze in my main deck. So yeah, I'm pretty happy about how I played this series. So I'm very happy to get to win it.
I kind of want to look forward a little bit too. We have the Masters Tour coming up in Las Vegas, which you'll be attending, correct?
Yes, I will be attending that.
Talk to me about having to prepare in amidst the balance patch that's happening. We're getting additional cards added, plus basically additional cards added with the buffs that are taking place. You did pretty well at Worlds when we had a format similar to this, where a lot of things changed all at once. Are you looking forward to it? And how do you think preparing is going to be amidst balancing the Grandmaster schedule?
It's going to be quite a different preparation, I think, because it's a very big difference when you prepare for an entire field compared to preparing for 2 specific players. There's a lot of different strategies that you can't really do when you're preparing a specific opponents because you know that they're very likely to bring specific things. So that makes you not able to bring something that you maybe want to bring, right? But when there's a big field, you just want to prepare for that entire field and just try to make the best lineup you can make. And I feel like it's more possible to break the meta, especially now that we're right after buffs, which is going to be very exciting.
One last question for you, Hunterace. Did you ever find out what a cabana is?
Yeah, I found it out. It's something I'm not allowed to do, unfortunately.
This is Hunterace preparing for Vegas. He was told he could get a cabana, but you're not 21. I hate to break it to you.
You can't do anything in Vegas if you're not 21, dude.
Hey, you can always celebrate with ice cream.
I guess I'm just stuck playing Hearthstone.
You'd do that anyway, let's be honest.
Yeah, probably. Probably will. Not gonna lie there.
Well, Hunterace, congratulations on your win here. I think this is a very important one for you. Looking forward to seeing you play next week and also for the Masters Tour that's coming up.
Hey, thanks, guys. Okay, talk to you later.
He always has a lot of thoughtful words to say. At the World Championships, we interview all the players prior to the event, and we had asked Hunterace just about a Shaman deck. We're like, talk to us about your Shaman deck. And he's like, 20 minutes later, after he had explained every, not only card choice in the deck and what its purpose was, but the cards they had attempted to use and that didn't quite make it, and then just ideas that they never even tried because they didn't have time for, we figured out what his Shaman deck was for.
Well, I mean, he loves talking about Hearthstone. I can't even remember the last time I logged into Hearthstone and didn't immediately get a message saying, what's the deck? What do I play? Give me a deck, Derek. I mean, I don't know why he's asking me. He's obviously a billion times better than I am.
He's asked me for a deck one time. I was like, what are you doing? I play dumb stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, loves Hearthstone.
He does like dumb stuff as well. He loves the meme decks as well. He's very partial to
Likes
that.
you.
What a joke.
We're going to a break because we got one more match that's coming up. It's Psycho versus Casey. Psycho looking to continue an undefeated streak, and Casey looking to bounce back from a tough set that he had yesterday. So stay tuned for that one. One last match of Grandmasters for Europe is coming up.